Can they hear me? They hear me live out there. Next beat. That ain't the beat I wanted to.
Those was wood
another
beats
beat.
right
Another
there.
beat. Nope. Give me another beat. Give me another beat. Nope. That's not it. That's the beat. Turn it up.
Oh, word.
Turn it up. I gotta hear it a little louder. Can you make it louder than my headphones? Turn me up in my headphones. I'm still stuck in the 80s/90s. Lottos, kangaroo boots, nanny ghosts, Velas, jumpsuits and troops, Junos, color Levi's, Bugs Bunny sweaters with the rhinestone ring on it. Fighting and making up the next day. Nobody getting shot. Working a hustle and a get it, a get got. We had love for the streets, our family, our foes, our friends. Respect for the elderly. Pager/payphone, sneaking into Adams Theater, watching Crush grooving tougher than leather. Hopping gates out the college port to bang out, cause you don't wanna get caught at mom's crib or at Vaughn's crib. Eat a funny dinner with the fam. Church every Sunday, 8 o'clock a.m. And even if I fell asleep in the back row or played sick, no matter what, man, I still had to go. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. 80s, baby.
Welcome, everybody. This is webisode number 57 of the X-Cast. The Heinz Ketchup episode, as we will call it.
I love Heinz Ketchup.
Do you? That's good, because we're going, this entire show, the only thing we're going to talk about is ketchup, and only Heinz Ketchup, because, of course, this is webisode number 57.
We're going to be talking about Hunt's Catsup?
No Hunts. This is, that we can have a different episode for Hunt's Catsup. We can only talk about Heinz Ketchup tonight because this is webisode number 57. Just kidding. That is actually all we're going to talk about Heinz Ketchup for the rest of the night.
This is also America too.
For now.
If you don't like Hunt's Ketchup, then get the hell out.
Oh, real? Oh, is that? Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. I don't really eat ketchup, to tell you the truth. I'm not a ketchup guy.
No, I like ketchup in certain.
I mean, I have to buy it by the case for my kids, but I don't. I don't use it much.
Yeah,
myself.
that's something I never really understood. Is what's with ketchup and little kids? Because
they either love it or hate it.
Every little kid that I've come across has. I mean, they're just all about ketchup.
Yeah, my youngest son, that's all he eats. You give him one fry and a mound of ketchup, and he'll just sit there and lick the ketchup off of it.
Yeah, I never understood.
It's give me more ketchup sauce, and he still has one fry in his hand.
Ketchup sauce.
It's gross. Yeah, ketchup sauce, as my kid calls it. But anyway, back to the real show. It is day 4,847 in the search for Tim Chevelday. This is the X-Cast. I am your host, Josh Houselander. With me, as always, the producer, the cornerstone here at theempiremedia.com, Adam Hernandez himself. Adam, what's up? We can still talk about ketchup if you want, though, if you want to talk about more ketchup.
I don't know if you wanted to transition to any other condiments or anything like that.
No, I think...
Is that fine?
I think we should save mustard, salsa, and, other condiments.
Okay, you got to fuck one, marry one, kill one. Ketchup, mustard, salsa.
Wow. Geez, I was not expecting the turn to go. Okay, I will. What were the choices again? Ketchup,
mustard, salsa.
Ketchup, mustard, and salsa. I'll marry the ketchup because I guess I'll marry the ketchup because I imagine that makes the most money, brings in the most, and I've got to marry that money.
It's true.
After salsa, I love that stuff, man. I mean, salsa's definitely my favorite of those things, and I'll kill the mustard, I'll kill the mustard. I don't need mustard.
Oh, okay.
All right. Wow, okay. So we've jumped into F, Marry, Kills here on the X-Cast already tonight. I wasn't expecting that, but hey, we do a lot of unexpected things here on the X-Cast. Do you care to answer? Do you want to jump in?
Between F, Marry, Kill,
yeah, it was your question, bro.
Let's see here. I like where your head's at with the with the ketchup.
Yeah, you got to marry money, dude. It's always about the money when it comes to marriage.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm gonna go the exact same route that you did.
I'm too scorned in my married career to pretend like marriage is about anything but.
But money. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go the exact same route that you did when it comes to the condiments there. You know what bugs me though?
What?
I went to a
You gotta love the salsa, obviously.
Oh my God, salsa! I love salsa more than all three of them.
You are a Mexican vegetarian.
That's correct.
I didn't even know for sure. I'm just assuming that salsa is your favorite food. Or guacamole. I've had your guacamole. I know your guacamole's good.
Love guacamole. Love salsa. You never mix the two, though.
No, it's terrible.
You never mix the two. You never put salsa in your guacamole because it's...
I don't even like them too close to each other on the plate.
It taints the guacamole.
It does.
I always like using fresh ingredients with my guacamole. But anyways, one thing before we get into our big topic tonight.
Yeah, sure.
I went to this restaurant this past weekend with my wife and kid.
Okay.
Great restaurant. Love it. It almost seems like a more upscale Coney Island. It's in Novi, Michigan. And I love their pancakes. I love their French toast sticks. They have amazing French toast sticks.
Is it Burger King?
No. I said but I went.
I don't know what upscale the upscale for you could be anything. I don't know what you normally eat.
But I go there, and because my wife, she wants French toast sticks, so we go there. Okay. We get some French toast sticks, and whatever. You know what I don't like about certain restaurants is like if you get pancakes or you get French toast or you get waffles, they give you syrup packets.
What?
Instead of like a bottle of syrup.
Oh yeah, I don't like that.
It's like I can't I love drowning my shit in syrup too. I love it. And it seems like they give you like 4 packets or something, 5 packets of and it's the same size is like if you went to McDonald's and you got like the sweet and sour sauce, the barbecue sauce for your
really that's it. That's all they gave you. I've never seen this.
Yeah,
I've never seen.
That's all they did. And this restaurant would be perfect if it didn't have it. In relatively speaking, when we're talking Coney Island type of restaurants, but that's one of their big things here. So
that's one of their specialties, and they give you syrup packets. That's weird. See, the syrup packets, it wouldn't bother me that much if it's decent syrup, because I use syrup very sparingly for some reason. People are always like, oh, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? But yeah, like everyone comments on it. Like, because I put syrup on my pancakes like a 75-year-old woman on a diet, just kind of just like a little drizzle, just a small drizzle. But, so it maybe wouldn't bother me, but... Yeah, that's like my favorite part about going to IHOP is all the different, you get like the variety of syrups. I like to put a different kind of syrup on each pancake.
Oh, that's nice.
But are you like a maple syrup purist though? It has to be maple syrup.
You know what? I could do blueberry syrup.
Okay.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's one of my faves.
But
I like raspberry myself.
Raspberry? See, I could do different types of syrup. I'm okay with that. But I like a lot of syrup on my shit.
Yeah. All right. Right on. And
I like log cabin. If we're talking maple syrup, it has to be log cabin.
Yeah. See, this again goes with it. I know like a lot of people like Heinz ketchup or, prefer Heinz or prefer Hunt's. I'm not really a ketchup guy. And I know a lot of people prefer log cabin. I'm not really a syrup guy. My kids like to drown all their crap in this stuff, so I just buy the cheapest crap. I admit it. Like, I buy the stuff on sale.
like the Kroger.
Yeah, because I don't really care myself, so I just figure I'll get my kids like addicted to like the cheap crap, and then if they ever have
is Hunt's cheap?
I think Hunt's is cheaper than Heinz.
Oh, I know it's cheaper than that, but
yeah, I mean I'm not above like Kroger brand.
No. Yeah,
or dollar store ketchup or whatever they got going that week.
I could do. You know what I can do sometimes is like some of the like the Kroger brand cereal.
Yeah,
because cereal gets fucking expensive sometimes.
Yeah, it does. No, cereal's stupid.
Like, you go there and you're spending like $6 on a box of cereal.
Mm-hmm. Cereal sucks anyway. I don't know what everyone's thing is about cereal. I hate cereal.
You don't like cereal?
Well, it's all right. I mean, nobody doesn't like cereal. Yeah. I mean, that's like one of those things. How can you say you don't like cereal? Well, it's cereal. I mean, it's like, I don't like bread. I mean, everybody likes it, but I just don't get the big deal about it. I think I don't know. I'm not into it. I mean, I buy it. I got like 17 kids, so of course I have like, 80 boxes of cereal at my house. And
they're all open.
Yeah, they're all open, and most of them are stale, and you're just like, whatever. And since I never eat it, like, every once in a while, not that often, but every once in a while, they're like, oh, this is stale. It's like, well, I don't know. I don't eat this crap. You gotta tell me.
Well, maybe you guys should
eat one of the other 15 boxes. I care. But no, I'm not a cereal guy. Never have been.
I like cereal. I love it. I mean, it's.
Oh, I know people who are like love it, like are like into it, like can't wait to like go home and like oh, what do I have for dinner? So I'm just having cereal. Like you're having cereal for dinner? That sucks. Who would want to?
Ed talked about that one time.
Yeah,
he talked about having cereal.
Ed eats stupid stuff.
I guess even more so now, right?
Yeah, now that he's a vegetarian, he especially eats stupid stuff. Can't believe I'm just like surrounded by vegetarians now on this show. I mean, seriously, we do the deep issues show. How are we really getting, good, like roundabout answers or like an eclectic group of answers when it's me and 3 vegetarians? I mean, come on.
You and 3 vegetarians
on the deep issues shows.
Who's the...
You, Kyle, and Ed.
Kyle's vegetarian too?
Kyle's a vegetarian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Kyle and his wife Brenda are vegetarian too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, everybody's a vegetarian now.
Man.
It's fine with me. More meat for me, man. You guys are crazy.
Maybe you should just, join us.
I'll never join you. I'll never turn to the dark side. You failed, Your Highness. I'm a carnivore like my father before me. Okay, all right. Do you want us to talk about real stuff?
Sure.
I guess we can talk about real stuff. All right, what's up with the NFL, man? The NFL's blowing up with the protests, with all this stuff. I mean, I admit I'm not paying as much attention as I should. I'm paying attention for the sake of this show, but and for other shows I do. But I don't get it. I don't get what exactly. Tell me, Adam, because I'm sure you have a very different view on this as I do. But what is the purpose of kneeling for the national anthem? I mean, because to me, it's just a total sign of disrespect. I don't get it. I know they have the right to do it. It's America. You absolutely, positively have the right to not stand for the flag, to flip off the flag, to burn the flag. You have all these rights. You have every one of these rights. I wouldn't want to live in a country where you didn't have those rights. But we do live in a country where we have those rights. So what is the purpose of this? Why kneel? Why disrespect the flag?
I don't see it as
or the anthem.
I don't see it as being disrespectful. I don't see it as being to the flag or the country or the people who served or anything like that. I think that people are doing it, athletes in particular, because the issue that they are protesting, these social injustices that they are protesting, is very much an American issue that involves American people living in the United States. And like I was saying, I don't think it for 1 second that this is meant to be a disrespect. I think that when you protest, you do it in a fashion that's going to gain attention. And when you do it during the national anthem, it's going to garner some attention, and it's also going to go along with your point as well. I don't think that, and this is the whole misguided, convoluted thing that I think that a lot of people are trying to push, especially the president Donald Trump, that this is strictly about protesting America, protesting the United States, showing disrespect for the people that have served, showing disrespect for the country in general. And that, like I said, I don't think that's the case, because if you look at other protests, if somebody goes on a hunger strike, that person isn't protesting food; they're usually protesting something else. They're just going on the hunger strike to kind of make their point and gain gain attention. I mean, that's the whole point of a protest, is to get attention, is to get attention for a cause. And in these athletes' case, yes, I've heard a lot of people also go on and say that, they don't have any business doing this. They're rich. What do they have to complain about? Well, I think a lot of these athletes too are doing this, and they'll tell you this, I'm sure, that they're not really doing it for themselves. They're doing it for, individuals who don't have that same voice that they do. They don't have that same platform that they do. They're doing it for the voiceless. So there's this one athlete. I have his name here. I'll get it here in a second. Well, when you take over here in a second. He was talking about his daughter. He was doing it for his daughter, who is, who he wants to, have grow up in a country that, could be better than what it is now. And I think this is essentially what it's all about. It's not about disrespect or anything like that, because if you notice, a lot of these guys are kneeling and they're still holding their hand over their heart. And there's a very good story too behind the kneel, because obviously, as we know, Josh, the guy who really started this was Colin Kaepernick, then of the San Francisco 49ers. He started it last season.
The only reason he's famous because he's a terrible quarterback.
No, he got the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl. He was actually the
49ers got to the Super Bowl. He was on the team.
He's the quarterback. He definitely had a play into it. But
I'll talk to that later, but I'll let you finish though, because we're not here to talk about like the ins and outs of football necessarily. But you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Because originally what he was doing is he was sitting during the national anthem. And a former NFL player, I believe his name was Nate Boyer, didn't play for that long. I think he only played for like a season for the Seattle Seahawks. He's also a Green Beret. Contacted Colin Kaepernick. And he said, hey, man, I saw what you're doing. I heard the reasons behind it. I think what you could do to maybe still show respect during your protest is, instead of sitting during the national anthem, you could kneel during the national anthem, because this is what, us in the military, Green Berets, would do. If there was a fallen, one of our fallen brothers, one of our fallen, comrades, yes, we would kneel by their grave or kneel by the body as a sign of respect. And what Colin Kaepernick did is he modified his protest. After that, after he talked to Nate Boyer, instead of sitting during the national anthem, he started kneeling during the national anthem. So
that's fine. Listen, you make some good points, Adam. You really do. But it's one of these things that, you can say that, well, it's not against the service people. Mm-hmm. It's not against the flag. It's not against the country. It's not against, but you don't get to choose who gets offended by your actions. I can walk around saying that I don't think people should be offended by the Confederate flag. This isn't me talking, by the way. I'm speaking hypothetically. Mm-hmm. I don't think people should be offended by the Confederate flag. I don't think it's racist. I think it stands for this. I think it stands for states' rights. I think it stands for Southern pride. I think it stands for all these things. You hear people say this all the time, but the thing is, you don't get to choose who the Confederate flag offends. And if the Confederate flag offends black people, or if it offends many other people, you don't get to say, well, that wasn't against you when I put the Confederate flag up, waved it on my front porch. No, it's there already. It's there, and it's offending them. I know a lot of service people. I know a lot of veterans. Mm-hmm. And they are offended by this. They are very much offended by people who they put their life on the line to protect while they went into the service, and now these people are disrespecting the flag. They're kneeling during the national anthem. They are, I don't think it's that much to ask to stand and put your hand over your heart. These people do have a voice. They could talk about this, and I don't see why protesting the national anthem of all things that speaks of liberty and freedom and, love of country, a country based on these things, on liberty and freedom. Now, has the United States of America veered from that path of liberty and freedom? It sure has. Yeah, in a lot of ways it has. I don't like many things that go on. I don't like many laws that are passed. And do we have an imperfect history like every other country in the world? Yes, of course we do. Of course we do. But we also have a great history, and that flag actually is supposed to stand for a lot of what these people are wanting. So to me, it's a terrible thing to protest. It's a terrible thing to stand against or not stand for. When really it stands for liberty, it stands for freedom, it stands for equality and equity. But so I don't get it. I don't get it. And I know that I was talking to a veteran yesterday actually, who was saying that he's just done with the NFL, and he's talking to all his veteran buddies, and some of them are still in the service to this day, and they're all done with it. They're done, and they want to boycott it. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, Adam, this isn't the first issue I've had with them, but I've been looking for a reason to boycott the NFL, and this is it. Like, I'm done with them. Hey, you have the right. They have the right to do it, though. They absolutely do have the right to do it. I have the right to turn around and not listen. I have the right to say, if this is going to be how the NFL, if this is what the NFL is going to do with the national anthem, then I'm done with them. I'm not paying attention.
And that's perfectly fine, Josh. If that's how you feel, obviously that should be fine, and that's something that people, I don't know if they necessarily should be, I guess, how do I want to word this? It's something that they have to respect. They have to respect your decision to do that. You have to respect. And there's a player on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I forgot his first name. His last name was
Alejandro Villanueva.
Alejandro Villanueva. Thank you. He decided to come out and stand for the national anthem. The rest of his team was in the locker room.
Awesome guy.
I respect that. I very much respect that. However, where I'm going with this is basically, I think that's ultimately the beauty of all of this is people are going to have different viewpoints. You said you've heard, you've talked to veterans who are offended by this, and I don't doubt that. I'm sure there are going to be many veterans who are disagreeing with the actions of some of these NFL players. On that same token, I've come into contact, I've seen many veterans who are also in favor or support Colin Kaepernick or these NFL players' right to do this. And to me, I mean, you're sitting here talking about, not just you, but, the national anthem in as a whole, and, the meaning behind it, and the meaning behind the American flag and what it represents, and it's freedom, liberty for everybody. And if there's individuals in this country who don't believe that citizens of this country are getting the totality of what this country is supposed to be offering, those unalienable rights that people of this country are supposed to be receiving, to me, the national anthem isn't an ironic situation to do that in. It seems like it may be the most fitting situation to get your point across. Again, not in a disrespectful way. I don't think what they're doing is disrespectful. I think they're using the best opportunity to get their point across and to get recognition, to develop an awareness for what they feel are injustices going on in this country involving American citizens. And like I said, not everybody's going to agree with that. I wouldn't expect anybody to agree with it. In fact, I would think that the majority of people in this country don't agree with it. They don't agree with the way that this protest is going about.
The jersey sales going through the roof for Alejandro Villanueva are kind of are a good tell for how the American people are viewing this.
But you also know who had excellent jersey sales when he was voicing his protest?
Colin Kaepernick. Yes. Yeah, he did. No, it's true. No, he did. Nowhere near what Villanueva's received in the last.
Well, I don't know. I have to go look at that.
Oh, he just surpassed Tom Brady in the last 2 days as the number one.
No, but I don't know what Colin Kaepernick's exactly what his were.
Well, he was never number one. I mean, his jersey sales went up big time, but he never passed Tom Brady up as highest.
Okay, like
highest
I said, I don't think this is going to be a popular opinion among a majority of people in this country. But go ahead.
No, that's I just in Villanueva, he's one of his reasons for this, he's former Army Ranger and now player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers decided as a team that they would
stay in the locker room.
Yeah,
same thing with the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks did the same thing. But what's the thing about this though, Josh, is that some of these players that are participating in this, they have family members in the military. Take, for instance, Bruce Maxwell. Bruce Maxwell is, you know about Bruce Maxwell?
Mm-hmm. A little bit.
Yeah, he's a 26-year-old baseball player, Oakland Athletics, career minor leaguer. Spent the majority of his career in the minor leagues. Spent some time with the Oakland Athletics, obviously with the big club. Mm-hmm. He took to a knee. I believe it was Friday night or Saturday night, one of the two. His dad, career Army guy, Bruce Maxwell was born on an Army base in Germany. That's one guy who I most certainly wouldn't think has a disrespect for the Navy. Or not the Navy, but the military.
I don't know. I mean, just because I know, I don't know enough about him.
Guy had his hand over his heart, looking at the flag.
Just because your parents were in something doesn't mean, I know sons of pastors who are atheists, they
spoke with Bruce Maxwell after the game. This had nothing to do with protesting the military or disrespecting the military. In fact, he said, "I have family that is in the military."
And the vast majority of people that wave Confederate flags say that they're not racist, that they don't have a racist bone in their body. Southern pride. We love the Confederate flag. It's just part of what I do. I just want to have a Confederate flag in the back of my pickup truck.
There's a little bit different. I mean, the correlation between the two is a little bit different,
is it?
Though. Yes, it is.
I don't think it is. I mean, a huge part of being an American is standing for the...
And I find it funny...
Actually, a huge part of being a part of any country is respecting your flag, standing, and
I know this isn't something that we're going to agree on, Josh, but I also find it a little ironic too. The people who are waving Confederate flags yet sit here and talk about a disrespect amongst other people when it comes to the American flag.
I don't know anyone who is right now waving a Confederate flag talking about this, but
to me that seems a little weird. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I don't know a particular person. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's waving Confederate flag complaining about this, but I actually personally always see an inconsistency with waving a Confederate flag when you're an American. But there are people out there who just, like to wave the Confederate flag side by side with the American flag because of Southern pride or whatever their reasons are. Personally, I do think it's, I do in some ways view it as a symbol of slavery, and I do in some ways, I don't understand the Confederate flag, never have, which is why I use it as an example. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a really good example in this case because you don't get to wave the Confederate flag and then decide who should or shouldn't be offended by it. And you don't get to kneel for the national anthem and then decide who you get to offend with it. It's not up to you. You have the right to.
You certainly do have the right to wave the Confederate flag.
What some people in the United States need to be reminded of is that you do not have the right to not be offended. Some people believe that you can, if you're offended, that you have the right to silence someone else's speech. You do not. People have the right to freedom of speech, but you do have the right to be offended.
Sure you do.
If you wish.
Sure.
There isn't really a whole lot you can do about it other than what you can do in your personal life, such as, me boycotting the NFL.
Yep,
Is the NFL going to miss me? Probably not. Does me boycotting the NFL affect them negatively? On a scale so small that you can't even possibly register it. If a whole bunch of other people join me and join other people, veterans and other people who support veterans or support the flag, if they all boycott the NFL, then yeah, maybe that could be it, but that won't happen. Truth is, people in the United States of America are obsessed with football, and it's not going to happen. I'll do it. Some other people do it. Maybe there'll even be enough people doing it to matter, but I doubt it. Me boycotting it means nothing. I rarely buy a ticket. I'm not. They're not missing me. I'm not a big money guy. I don't have any money. So it's not going to affect them too much. I didn't watch them much anyway. I mean, I've been looking, like I said earlier, Adam, I admit it, I've been looking for a reason to boycott this this ludicrous organization claiming to be a nonprofit, funding a bunch of millionaires with a bunch of billionaires and, just housing a bunch of wife beaters and, thugs in a lot of ways. I shouldn't say thug because that is a connotation now, evidently. I don't mean that in any way other than someone who is an abusive, nasty person, and we've seen that in the NFL. We've seen them allow in people who have done terrible things, and then we've seen them take away rights from people who have potentially or supposedly done terrible things, and I disagree with that wholeheartedly in a lot of ways, because I don't think it's the NFL's league, or I don't believe that it's their right or their duty to be judge, jury, and executioner for someone who hasn't been convicted of a crime. Yet at the same time, no one finds, beating up women or mistreating women or mistreating their kids. No one finds that more offensive than me. No, really, no one finds that more intolerable.
Hey,
than I do.
If you could still carry a football and run real fast, then
right. So, and Adam, you mentioned the idea that people don't like to hear millionaires complain about this. Well, I think there's some truth to that. I think I'm one of those people, because I'm looking at some people right now that are complaining and protesting and, in my opinion, disrespecting the flag and disrespecting our anthem, who are the epitome of the American dream. They are getting paid. They are getting paid in the top 1% of anyone in the country for playing a game. So I don't respect them as individuals worth listening to, because they are extremely good. They're at the top of their craft at playing a sport. You know what I mean? Like I will readily listen to, maybe I disagree with them on everything. Maybe I disagree with this mythical person I'm about to talk about. Maybe I disagree with them on politics or anything else. But if you have some professor who is one of the top minds on string theory, because they are a theoretical professor who just has studied this and is a brilliant man of with a 160 IQ, and he's talking about string theory. Well, I'm going to listen, and I'm not going to push it off. But
why are you going to listen to him?
Because he has proven that he is an expert in that craft.
Okay.
But there is no reason to, just because somebody happens to be famous or semi-famous for playing a sport, they have not earned the right in my eyes to talk to me about social injustice, about politics, about history.
So they can't. Are you
they
saying
can do whatever they want.
Are you saying that they can't have an opinion though?
They can have an opinion.
Okay.
But I don't have to respect it.
Okay, that's fine.
I do not. I don't. You know that they have been given.
So is it okay if I don't respect our president then, or his opinions on this matter?
To some degree, I do. Okay. Yeah. No.
Because I have zero respect for our president especially when it comes to something like this.
Okay. This is what I'll say, and you're going to agree with part of this and disagree with part of this.
Go ahead.
When it comes to President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to apologize for this statement before I make it. Because I was thinking about this before the show. I don't know how else to say it. And I'm not saying this to disrespect President Trump. I'm not, because I actually feel that he has been... I don't like the way the media has disrespected President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some truth to some of the complaints he has had and some of what his supporters have complained about. But I just do not understand why Trump needs to be such an asshole. I don't understand it. I'm not calling him an asshole. I'm actually not.
Okay.
Listen, I'm
sorry. Go ahead. I don't want to hijack your.
No. I have a thing where I do not ever like to call the president of the United States. Okay, there's a few key words I try to stay away from. I did this with Obama, who I was not a supporter of.
Mm-hmm. You were?
I did it with I got annoyed with it when people did it with George Bush, Bill Clinton. I mean, this is something that's been going back since I was a teenager.
That's
I try to stay away from. I don't think people should call the president an asshole just because I don't see where you're making a point by saying that. All you're making the point is I don't like him. That's all you're saying. You could make a more logical point.
But didn't you just call him an asshole?
No, I didn't. I said he sounds like an asshole.
Okay.
Either way, and that's why I'm, apologizing for it to some degree. I also don't like it when someone calls the president stupid. You don't become president of the United States because you're stupid. Give me a break. It's an ignorant thing to say. The president of the United States is stupid. Oh, really? They're stupid? Okay. You're here doing this job. He's the president of the United States and he's stupid. Good luck with proving that point, genius. But I just don't actually, in this particular case, I don't disagree with Donald Trump. I also will say, and I know you disagree with this next statement, Adam,
mm-hmm.
I don't think that President Trump has done anything terrible as president yet. I really don't. I'm not a supporter of his. You know this. But I really don't think he's done one particular thing that's terrible. I just don't know why he always has to sound like an asshole. I just don't know why he can't just talk diplomatically. He is the world's leading diplomat, and he is one of the least diplomatic people on planet Earth. It's terrible. I understand you got to talk a lot of crap when you're running for president. I understand that. I didn't like his rhetoric. I didn't like the way he spoke while he was running for president. But hey, he had to bust some heads, he had to kick some ass, he had to get in there, and he did it.
Well,
but now he's not running for president. He is supposed to be the world's leading diplomat. And I don't understand why he can't be against something without sounding so ignorant. And again, I don't think President Trump's an asshole. I don't think President Trump is stupid. I don't think President Trump is racist. I know a lot of people do. I don't think any of those things. But why do you always have to sound so ignorant, asshole-ish, and racist when you talk? That's what I don't understand. I just don't understand why the guy has to talk like that.
I just want to piggyback on something
Sure,
you just said.
absolutely.
And like I said, there's some things I agree with. There's other things I don't
Sure,
agree with.
I knew
Josh.
you would. Yeah.
I think there's one thing that you mentioned though, and is right there at the end when you were discussing why does he have to sound like so much of an asshole, and like I was saying before too, that there's gonna be a lot of people that don't agree with these players in the NFL. Like I said, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. And Donald Trump is a citizen of the United States,
Mm-hmm.
and he certainly has that right as well.
Of course,
to not agree with the way that these players are going about their protests. And again, fine. But there's some truth to what you said. Why does he have to be such an asshole about it? Why can't he just go up there and be diplomatic about it? And maybe be a little empathetic towards the other side. Like, hey, you know what? I can empathize. I can see that there's issues in this country that you aren't happy with, that you feel that there's social injustices. But I also can't agree with kneeling during the national anthem. That's something that I don't like. That's something that I wish that wouldn't take place. But you know what? I'm going to listen to you guys. I'm going to listen to what you guys have to say. Instead, it's always a confrontation.
Right.
It's always, well, you know what? If it's not this way, then to hell with it. To hell with it. I'm going to do everything that I can in some fashion. I'm going to use my pulpit here to, in some ways, try to, I don't want to say destroy, but I'm going to try to, I don't have a good word to describe it, but I'm going to do my best to make your life not so easy. And we saw with this, because we saw the president of the United States use his pulpit to make a suggestion to these owners that if their players don't stand for the national anthem, then they should be fired. He made the same comment about Jamel Hill, except he didn't say it himself. He used his press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, to go during a press conference and say, oh, well, what she said on Twitter towards the president is a fireable offense. And when the president goes and does something like that, and the owners don't follow through, I mean, are the owners then going against what the president of the United States is telling, is
Mm-hmm.
in some ways alluding to or implying? This isn't this isn't the only time Trump has done something like this.
No, it's not.
We could remember when.
Can I throw something in real quick too, Adam?
Go ahead.
The thing is with this too, I'm sorry, call me old-fashioned, call me old school, call me whatever you want, but I will start respecting the president's words more as soon as he gets off Twitter. As soon as he closes that goddamn Twitter account, because it's ludicrous. So much of what is complained about, so much of what is talked about, is nothing more than his dumb tweets. And it's silly.
And Josh,
it's silly. Their social
Josh,
media tweets. For God's sake, you're the president of the United States. You can have a press conference whenever you want, and you're tweeting.
You can be a sports team and have a press conference whenever you. I mean, the Tigers are firing Brad Ausmus last Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and out of the blue, they're like, "Hey, we're gonna have a press conference. Media, you might want to come down here for that."
Right.
I mean, when you take that and you take the president be like, "Hey, I'm gonna hold a press conference at 4. You guys might want to be down here for this." And sure as hell, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, OAN, Breitbart, they're all going to have their asses down there in the Rose Garden or,
Absolutely.
or, wherever it is in the White House to hear this press conference as Star Wars going on in the background.
So you got to get a little Star Wars ringtone going on my phone in the background.
But again, I guess, Josh, like I was saying, I mean, there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. And yes, and the thing with Twitter is the administration too tries to have it both ways when it comes to the Twitter. To Donald Trump's Twitter is, when he does say something stupid, they're like, oh well, it was just a tweet. It was just a tweet. You can't really say anything about that. But when you have the president of the United States going onto social media, going onto Twitter, and saying these things, yeah, that's public record. Donald Trump's tweets are right now, as we speak, being cataloged and put into the Library of Congress forever. Mm-hmm. Those are going to be Donald Trump's words as president of the United States. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's social media or not. I mean, what Donald Trump says is going to have a lot of impact on the citizens of this country because of who he is. And you're right. And you can't play that card anymore. Oh, well, that's just Donald Trump on Twitter. You can't take that serious. Mm-hmm. Bullshit, we can't. Yeah. The president of the United States, those are his words.
Before he was president, you could say that. When he was having stupid Twitter wars with Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah, sure. Anybody's allowed to do that. You want to just, what? He's just he's just talking shit with Rosie O'Donnell. Maybe he doesn't mean every word of it. He just kind of means it towards her. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean he hates every, fat white chick out there. It just means he's really not liking her. And can you blame him? But that's Adam, you're right. About a year ago or so, I wanted to I made an effort to change the verbiage that I used, and I use it in regards to other people as well, because contrary to what some people think, words are important. Actually, what you say is important, and you
especially when you're president of the United States.
Right. But really, anybody out there, anybody who has a social media page, which is pretty much everybody out there, I changed the verbiage to people who say I posted this on Twitter, I posted this on Facebook, I posted this on the internet. I prefer to say that I published it. Because when you say something on Facebook, when you say something on Twitter, when you say something on Instagram, you're actually not just posting it, you are publishing it. You are putting it out there for it to be seen by anyone who can see it, and also you're putting it out there forever. When you put something on the internet, it does not get erased. So you didn't just say it. This wasn't something you said in the back of the bar to a couple of buddies. This wasn't something that you said in the back room of a party to half a dozen people or 24 people. You published this statement. You put it on the internet for the world to see and for the world to record.
That's something you always said too. I mean, you said you don't like erasing your Facebook posts.
I don't. I've gotten in many arguments. I have a big social media presence. I do, and I've gotten in a lot of arguments, and I refuse to erase my social media posts ever for two reasons. One, because it's the internet and you never really erase it anyway, and two, because I said it. Mm-hmm. I said it, and there are some things I've looked back and that I've said or that I've published to the internet, and I thought, maybe I was a little harsh there. Maybe I was a little off. Maybe I should have approached that differently. Or even as far as, I actually now disagree with that statement 3 years later, or whenever. But I said it, I published it, it needs to remain there. And yeah, we were talking about this, I believe it was off air last week, Adam, when there's been times when I get in a dispute with someone, mm-hmm. usually on Facebook, but other social media places as well, or other internet areas. But I'll do this, and to me, I admit, I take this as a sign of like kind of winning. But the other person will erase all of their comments. So then my comments, sometimes snarky, sometimes snide, are still sitting there, floating there, and it looks like I'm talking to no one or just being a jerk for no reason. And I will occasionally post underneath them all like, by the way, you may have noticed that somebody else erased all their comments. I'm leaving mine because I said them and I need to stand behind them. So, you know, I'm leaving mine, but if you're wondering, I wasn't talking to, you know, I wasn't talking to nobody. There was somebody here, and, you know, it does take two to tango, and they were there as well. So I'll like to say something like that, to just say, like, you know, like, oh, somebody else erased their comments. Mine aren't just, you know, I'm not just a crazy person floating around making snide comments to the world. So I think that's important. I do. I don't think comments can't really be erased, so why try? You know? I just, you know, this kind of stuff, it just, it bothers me, you know? I don't think the president should be on Twitter. I don't. And I am on
I think his chief of staff agrees with you, too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do, but he doesn't. And, you know, I've heard a lot of Trump supporters say, like, oh, yeah, I wish, you know, he would get off Twitter, or I wish, you know, if one of his kids said it, it would have been, they'd have said it more eloquently. I agree. I actually like Trump's kids. I think they're kind of cool. Why didn't they run for president? You know, I mean, who cares? I liked Obama's kids, too. They seem like really nice little girls. but who cares? They're not the president.
What about Bush's daughters?
Bush's daughters are super cool. I do. I love George Bush's daughters. I think they're awesome. No, I love the Bush daughters. They're kind of hot too. I think anyway.
I think the one is still on. Who was it?
Yeah, she's on one of the morning shows, right?
I think she's on Today Show.
Yeah, no, she's good. From what I haven't seen much of it, but no, I can't think of it like a president.
They were kind of troublemakers too, weren't they? When they were.
Who wasn't? Who wasn't? I mean, that's a problem.
What do you think? That's kind of hot.
What's that?
Do you think that's kind of hot that they were troublemakers?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, sure. Why not? You know, come on. I didn't do everything right in college either. They're rich kids. You know, that's like same. You know, Bush and Obama are both examples of that too in recent presidential history.
As far
W.
as
Bush and Obama.
As far as rich kids,
it being rich kids in college that did some things that were kind of dumb. You know, they were both. Sounds like they were both snorting a lot of coke in college. Oh, they were rich kids at an Ivy League school. They weren't the only ones. Newsflash, everybody.
Were they in Skull and Bones? Well, Bush was.
Bush was Skull and Bones, yeah.
Was Obama Skull and Bones?
No, he was Harvard.
Oh, he was okay.
So
yeah, Skull and Bones is Yale, right?
It's a Yale thing, yeah.
What's the one at Harvard? I'm surprised we haven't talked about this before.
You know, I know there's some fraternities there. I don't know that there's like the.
Is Skull and Bones a fraternity?
No,
it's a secret society.
It's a secret society, but you usually are linked to one of the big fraternities there too.
Okay.
I mean, it's still a fraternal organization, you know, to some degree anyway.
And it was it Bush's? It was HW's dad that stole Geronimo's skull, right?
Supposedly, that is the thing. Yeah, Prescott Bush, they believe, is the one that perhaps stole Geronimo's skull, which is allegedly still
in that creepy house.
Yeah, hidden in the basement of the Skull and Bones headquarters.
And it's creepy as fuck. People go and Google the Skull and Bones.
It's crazy.
You know how it looks like an old creepy castle from what I can remember.
The thing is, they made that movie, The Skulls. It was kind of,
was it Johnny Depp in that movie?
It was kind of a dumb movie, actually.
Was it?
But the thing is, they go into the fraternal organizations, the secret society, all this stuff, but the way they portray it in that movie is nowhere near as creepy as it actually is. The truth about that organization, that, you know, they call it the Skulls, and there it's the Skull and Bones. You know, I mean, it's loosely based off this, or well, maybe not so loosely based off of the real organization. The real organization is so much creepier.
That's a little disappointing.
Than the fake one.
I mean, that's a little disappointing because usually you would see the movie just kind of.
Yeah, make it worse.
Make it worse and exaggerate.
Yeah. Like, no, go look up. Go look up what they actually do.
Yeah, guys, I don't think you did your full research on this.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. I almost wonder.
Do it again.
I almost wonder if that movie was kind of like some propaganda to show that it wasn't that bad.
Oh.
You know, But hey, whatever.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make some tinfoil hats because we actually talked about this on the Majors Live.
Oh, did you?
Is getting tinfoil hats in here.
Oh, so we do need them.
When we start to, maybe we do the deep issues, like almost all deep issues, wearing a tinfoil.
Yeah, it's crazy for me particularly, but I do not even own a tinfoil hat, and I really should, make one. And I need like a super heavy duty one too.
A couple of
aluminum. I assume aluminum foil still works for this as well as tinfoil.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Okay. You can't get real tinfoil anymore, can you?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, we'll have to settle for the aluminum foil. But anyways, a couple of other things before we move on with this.
Sure.
We mentioned words matter.
Yes,
and I both can agree on that. And I think it's ever so important for Donald Trump, because Donald Trump came out and said that this isn't a race thing. The problem is, though, is that it seems like Donald Trump is one that is trying to gloss over this or change maybe the narrative on this. And it's Donald Trump, too, that has had a bunch of questions, whether you think he's a bigot or a racist or not. The questions have been out there, whether or not Donald Trump is actually one of those. Mm-hmm. And I've said it before. I've never wanted to be one to just go and refer to somebody as a racist or a bigot, mm-hmm. because it's a serious charge against somebody. It's a serious accusation. But I've also said before that there's been a pattern with Donald Trump. When it comes to this, I'm not going to go and rehash, because everybody knows what Donald Trump has said in the past.
Sure.
The controversial things that he has said in the past. And I would have figured that Donald Trump would have approached this a little more carefully than what he did, instead of sounding like an asshole, like what you said.
No, he doesn't approach anything carefully.
And instead, identify what this protest is actually about, and maybe try to use more empathetic words towards it, to maybe address the issue head on with these players. Be like, hey, you guys, let's come in, let's talk about this. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about this. Let's address this. Let's get everything out on the table here so we can work together, because whether people like it or not, I mean, these athletes have a say. They have a big say. They have
Sure.
a big voice.
Sure.
And me personally, I think that they're not speaking for themselves necessarily. I think they're speaking for a lot of other people that don't have that same voice that they do. But anyways,
you know what? I'll just piggybacking off you, Adam.
Sure.
I'll jump right in. But one thing that I realized that. Trump's big man, right? He's big man on campus. He likes to talk big. So I could even see if I agree with what you just said, and I could even see if he wanted to make sure that the power was still parlayed to him on his side. But you could even, in a way that is more diplomatic, say, hey, listen, I see what's up. Start standing for the national anthem, and then let's come talk. I want, stand for the national anthem next week's game. Let's bring you in and talk. Let's get back to respect on both sides. And let's do that, and we'll bring you in here, and you've made your point, but I'll bring you in and I'll start talking to you, and we'll go at this from, a position where we can work together. But I'd rather do it with people who are standing for the national anthem, to show that you do have respect from both sides. Well, I can even see that. It wouldn't work.
Taking that position would be a lot more. It'd be, like you said, more diplomatic. It would. I'm sure some of these players would definitely appreciate that gesture. Mm-hmm. That hand going out to them in some sense. But again, this is. When you go and look at that rally that he had on Friday night, this is a guy that referred to these people, that referred to American citizens protesting social injustices in this country. And look, these players aren't kneeling because they don't like their pay, or they don't they just don't like to stand during the national anthem. Look, there's some substance behind this. And what Donald Trump referred to them as, he referred to them as sons of bitches. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I look, same president. What I mentioned before, who's been questioned before about racism and bigotry. Did he go and talk about those Nazis and white nationalists and white supremacists in Charlottesville? Did he refer to them as sons of bitches? I don't think he did. I don't think he used that type of language with them. But he goes and uses that type of language with people protesting what they believe are social injustices going on in this country. And to me, not a good look.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. You know, Adam, I agree with you. And actually, you know what? Maybe people out there don't agree with you that, they're protesting social injustices. Maybe they just do think they're just kind of bandwagon jumpers. And to be honest with you, a lot of the people I see kneeling out there, I do kind of just think they're jumping on this bandwagon. Mm-hmm. But, and hey, you know what? Another thing too. If you're out there, if you're right there right now or tomorrow, and you're sitting on the third bar stool from the left, and you want to refer to these guys as sons of bitches, go ahead. That's your right. If you're sitting in your living room with your wife and you want to refer to these people doing this as sons of bitches, go right ahead. But when you're the president of the United States, there used to be a time in this country when the president of the United States knew how to talk. The president of the United States knew how to be diplomatic, and I'll say it again, when the president of the United States knew how to not be an asshole. You're allowed to be an asshole. You really are. You are allowed, especially, there's a lot of things out there that maybe you aren't allowed to do or that you definitely shouldn't do or are morally wrong or legally wrong, but you are always allowed to talk like an asshole. It's the First Amendment. Mm-hmm. You are allowed to do that. Like I said, you're sitting at the end bar stool. You're sitting around the water cooler at work. You are hanging out with your buddies. You're talking with your wife. You're having dinner with the family. You're allowed to do that. And technically, the president, he's allowed to do it too.
Sure.
But there used to be a time when the president of the United States knew how to talk. And if this means that, Josh he's yearning for the days when we're just run by corrupt politicians all the time. No, maybe I am. Maybe I am. You want to accuse me of that? Fine. Go right ahead. I don't care. But yeah, it's true. I do love history. And I do love political history. And I do love presidential history. And I know that presidents used to know how to talk. Even the more controversial presidents didn't go around saying, these SOBs. Come on.
Did Nixon ever refer to anybody as sons of bitches?
Not in a speech. on Nixon's tapes.
Yeah.
Yes. On Nixon's tapes, yeah, he did. And if Trump is, sitting around, I wouldn't care. Some presidents do that or have done that. Maybe they're sitting around with their cabinet. LBJ was famous for that.
Hey, yeah,
LBJ has some crazy. There are some crazy quotes attributed to Lyndon Baines Johnson that he said as president of the United States during cabinet meetings. But go find me the LBJ speech where he's speaking to the American people where he sounds like that. It doesn't exist.
It happens with all of them.
It doesn't exist.
It happens with all of them.
Yeah, I don't
Obama,
care.
Bush, Clinton,
right.
Bush.
I don't care what they say when the camera's not rolling. I don't care at all. That's fine. In fact, I appreciate that. I appreciate that they're actual people and that they're behind closed doors. I mean, Harry Truman is another one who's just famous for, there's quotes attributed to Harry Truman that like, what? He said that? He said that while he was president? Yes, he did. He did, technically. But he didn't say it in a press conference to the American people. He didn't say it live on TV. He didn't say it in the State of the Union. He didn't publish it as, as part of his administration, outlook. I mean, that's not what's going on here. And I mean, come on. There's. I just don't get it, man. I don't get this whole thing.
I always thought that George W. Bush didn't agree with any of his politics for the most part, but George W. Bush seemed like a cool guy to go and actually like watch a football game with.
Yeah,
I mean that's what it's.
You know what? I did.
That's what it seemed like with George W. Bush. Is I agree with nothing with his politics, but I could, he probably is a pretty fun guy to watch a football game.
What you just said is exactly how I feel about Bill Clinton.
How he'd be a fun guy to hang out with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Obama and Trump, I don't think they'd be fun guys to hang out with. I think they'd be a drag, actually.
Do you remember remember that one Simpsons episode where George H.W. Bush moves in across the street from Homer?
Yes. Yeah.
And he's just like a total dick, a total asshole, and he's not fun.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they move out, and Gerald Ford moves in, and he's like, "Hey, Homer, do you like to watch football?" And he's like, "Yes, Mr. President." He's like, "Then you should come over, and we could eat nachos and watch the game." I love that episode.
No, I do too. I actually do too. And Gerald Ford was another example. Like, he just always kind of seemed like, oh God, what am I doing here? I'm just a person, Like I'm just.
What about Kennedy? Would you want to hang out with Kennedy?
Maybe. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd want to hang out with Kennedy for sure. Definitely. Yeah.
Crazy night.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I would want to hang out with Kennedy but I wouldn't if I was married and I had to bring my wife with me.
You wouldn't want to hang out with
No, well, no, who would? Who would? You can't bring your wife around JFK.
He probably wouldn't allow you. Well, he'd probably want you to bring your wife.
Yeah, and then he'd kick you out halfway through the night.
Well, wouldn't Clinton do that too?
Yeah, maybe. Good point.
Oh, hey, I'm playing by your wife.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been real fun, but the Secret Service is going to remove you now. She can stay.
Oh, no, honey, you could stay.
Yeah, no. You know what? Okay, we've talked a lot. Are you done, Adam? Are you, for the most part? I mean, if you think of something else, go ahead and jump right in.
Okay.
But, we've talked a lot about words sticking and words being important and things you say and do. Being with you. But supposedly, I don't know yet, but supposedly there is one place in the world where you can go and everything you do and say
Cheers
stays there. No, that's where everyone knows your name.
Oh.
But when you go to Las Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So this coming up weekend, Adam, I'm going to be going to Las Vegas with the crew of one of the other shows I'm on, Settled on the Screen Live. And we are going to be hosting an NHL 94 tournament. And we will be...
one of the best games ever.
Oh my God.
Ever
yeah,
made.
I mean, pretty much the definitive hockey game of all time. Pretty much the best hockey video game ever. Arguably the best sports game ever. It's kind of where the NHL 94 is kind of where the retro and the new just kind of meet right in the middle and bring in that perfect game where you have the cool tech that lets you save stuff and change stuff and alter things and build your own lines and bring in real players. It's every person who's actually in the NHL's in it, but it still has a retro feel where you're still playing a video game. Where some of the new games
it's
are...
the third one in the series, too.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the first one... It's not called NHL 92. It's just called NHL Hockey. Then
they didn't have the Players Association.
Right. And then NHLPA 93 and NHLPA 94 is where you really they really make it great.
Or the players or people banging on the glass. And stuff
yeah,
like
exactly. And you get the one-timers, which really change the game. The only weird thing about NHL 94 is it's the they pull out fighting.
They pull out fighting.
There's no fighting in it.
I think it doesn't come back till 96.
No, I think it comes back in 95 actually, which is terrible. NHL 95 is pretty terrible.
Yes, NHL 95
96 comes around. I mean, if you got to say which one's the best, it's 94. Most people agree that 94 really is there, but I love 97. NHL 97 kind of turns back the clock a little bit, goes to 94, but they bring in the fighting aspect from 93. So and you can trade players as well. So I actually can make the argument and have in the past that 97 is just the best. But 94 is kind of... 97 is the best because they went back to how it was in 94.
And 97 was like the last one, too, before like the PC really took over.
Right. So we'll be there.
Was it the last cartridge one that they had? I think it was.
No, there's a 98. I'm pretty sure there's a 98 for Genesis, but in other platforms, 98 probably appears in a disc form. But I believe a 98 was still released for Sega Genesis and probably for Super Nintendo as well. And other ones still would have come out for N64. But Nintendo is not known for modding their sports games as well as some of the other ones. As much as I'm a Nintendo lover and a retro guy through and through and a absolute Nintendo fan, when it comes to the sports games, Nintendo doesn't seem to do it. And that's very true today, where Sony and Microsoft really kind of kill Nintendo on the sports games. But they still exist, and people play them, and they can be fun. Nothing wrong with that. If you like a game, you like a game. Don't ever be ashamed of it. But there will be a movie about NHL 94 debuting on Friday night. We'll be there to host the movie premiere, and then we'll be there to host the tournament. And my co-hosts from Settle It on the Screen Live will be playing in the tournament. I don't think I am, though. No. I was going to, but I have so little time while I'm there in Vegas and so much to do that I really don't see how I'm gonna play in the tournament. I'd like to. I'm not bad at that game. I'm not saying I'd go in there and win it or anything, but and I'm out of practice. I was, if I was going to play in the tournament, I would have practiced up this week or something, but I am, I can throw down in that game. And if there is an opening in the tournament, because sometimes openings do occur, you're not allowed to register that day if there's no openings. But if somebody doesn't show up and there's openings, I may just pay my $94 and jump in there. I'm not sure. If the cards fall just right. And it's Vegas, so sometimes the cards do fall just right. But I'm excited about it. It should be cool. But Adam, I gotta know, what do you do in Las Vegas? And I've always wanted to go to Las Vegas my entire life. I've never actually been. I was there once when I was a teenager. I wasn't old enough to get into a casino, so that doesn't really count. What do you do, man? I don't even know. I mean, do you just get blackout drunk and blow your rent money on gambling, or I mean, is that?
I think that's a popular thing to do. My dad and brother went to Las Vegas. Cool. About 5 or so years ago. Probably a little longer than that. But, it wasn't about... And they had a lot of time, too. I understand you don't have a lot of time. No,
I will not have a lot of time, unfortunately.
So what your best bet is, go to the Strip, see the Strip, go into some casinos, see Caesars, maybe some MGM, and taking a buffet, something like that.
Yeah.
But... what they did, too, is, they did a lot of, of course they went to the Strip and everything like that, but they also went and saw the Grand Canyon.
Okay, that's when I went to Vegas. The one time I've been to Las Vegas in my life, I was going there with my family to see the Grand Canyon. Like I said, I was a teenager. I was going there with my family to see the Grand Canyon, and we flew into Las Vegas.
Did you go to Wally World or anything, too?
No, we did not, but I was there visiting family, seeing the Grand Canyon, and we flew into Las Vegas. We landed in Vegas, so I saw it for a little bit. Drove through the Strip. Actually, I got kicked out of the casino with my grandpa.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My grandpa just kept bringing me into the casino and and pretending like he was just an old man who didn't realize it. Which he wasn't. He was totally cool. He was just but he would pretend like he was the old geezer who didn't know. Oh, I didn't know.
I didn't know.
We just did it 2 or 3 times.
Did they direct you to the buffet then, since old guy with you?
They're could we see his ID? Like, oh, Josh, you got ID on you? And he'd be like, you can't be in here.
It's a total grandpa thing to do too.
So yeah, so I did. Actually,
at least he didn't ditch you and be like, no, sorry.
I did actually gamble with my grandpa a little bit. I actually played a slot.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but I was not supposed to. But it'll be fun. It'll be cool. I hope I have time to see the strip, see some other stuff. We'll be in downtown Las Vegas when we are hosting the event. So if you're into that stuff, please tune in. There'll be coverage for it later. Hopefully, I can maybe swing it so we can do some cross promotion and get some of that coverage here on the XCast.
Cool.
Here on the EmpireMedia.com. I would like that.
Sweet.
If not, though, it'll be a lot of it'll be shared to Facebook Live, just like this show is being right now. So it'll be around. Hopefully it'll be cool, and get to I guess they're gonna have us right there, talking live when we do the finals of the tournament. And what's kind of cool about this NHL '94 tournament is there is a Genesis one and a Super Nintendo one going at the same time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's going, and then I believe they make the SNES guy play the Genesis guy at the end.
Nice.
They'll play the winners. I don't know if they do like a play one on Genesis, one on Super Nintendo, and flip a coin for 2 out of 3 if they each win one or something. But should be cool.
So I'm sure I've asked you this before. Are you Genesis or Super Nintendo?
For that game, I was Genesis.
Okay, in general though.
In general, Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Love them both though. I like both those systems.
2 of the best systems ever made.
Oh, absolutely. No, 2 of my. If I name my top 5 systems of all time, they would both be in it. Depending on the day you catch me, the order might change a little bit, but those 2 systems are always going to be in my top 5.
Is N64 in there?
Yes.
Okay.
And Nintendo.
Actually,
my top 5 are probably always going to be in no particular order. In this case, no particular order: Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64, TurboGrafx 16, Sega Genesis.
Okay.
Those are pretty much my top 5. I do really like the Wii though. I did have some fun with the Wii.
Did you ever like the PlayStation?
No.
The original? You didn't like the original PlayStation?
No. I own one in my collection of video games. I was never a fan. Not a PlayStation guy. Never have been a Sony guy. No. I've never been a PlayStation fan. Not saying they don't have some games. Not saying I haven't sat down and played it and had some fun for a minute. But no, I've never been a PlayStation guy. Never much liked it. Don't like the controller. I used to hate the loading.
I love the controller.
Do you?
I think it's one of the best controllers ever made.
Do you?
Yeah.
I've never been a PlayStation guy. Not much of an Xbox guy either, but out of those 2, Xbox and PlayStation, I usually go Xbox.
Yeah, that's a big, very contentious, I think.
Right? No, it is
Xbox or PlayStation.
No, if you make me choose, you say okay, Xbox or PlayStation. Neither one of them are really my bag.
See, I'm PlayStation.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. Like I don't even have heavy opinions on it because neither one of them are my thing at all. I'm a Nintendo Wii guy.
I never played the Wii, to tell you the truth.
Wii U and GameCube are 2 of the Nintendo systems I've never gotten heavy into.
I have a Game Boy Advance in my bag right now.
I love Game Boy, but GameCube I'm not big on.
GameCube seemed... Is that when Nintendo moved to the disc?
Yes, it is. And I never actually owned a GameCube, but I owned a Wii, and you can play your GameCube games on Wii.
Oh, really?
So I do have some GameCube games, and some of them are actually pretty cool. Where I kind of avoided the GameCube, but then when I ended up getting the Wii, I got some of the older GameCube games, and when I played them, I thought, this is pretty cool, actually. And I love, there's not that many games where you can do it, but some of the, probably a good, there's several games, actually, where you can do it, but you can use the GameCube controller on the Wii, and I love doing that. I love using the GameCube controller on the Wii.
My top 5... in no particular order, because I haven't really sat down and thought about it, but Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, PlayStation 2.
Okay.
Let's see here. Nintendo, obviously. Original Nintendo. And... did have a lot of fun with the original PlayStation. But, man, edging out the end there. Probably my Game Boy Advance.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So you didn't list N64?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Nintendo 64.
Okay, so
I'm putting that in there.
Nintendo, SNES, N64, PlayStation, and Genesis.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That's what it is for me.
Yeah. No, N64 is a very underrated system.
Oh my god!
It sometimes kind of almost seems forgotten when they talk about the Nintendos, and it's like, and it really shouldn't be.
No,
because some of the best games ever were.
Well, that's the thing is Nintendo was spot on with their first. See, I don't count Virtual Boy as a system.
No, I kind of always forget about Virtual Boy.
Virtual Boy was it really an add-on to Super Nintendo though?
No, it was its own system.
Was it its own system?
So it has its own cartridges, its own games. It kind of bridges the gap in between. I still kind of consider it a handheld. You know, I consider it more with the Game Boys and the Game Boy Advance and the PlayStation Pocket and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, there's not even that many games for Virtual Boy. Most of them suck. There's a couple that are like pretty much any system out there. There's a couple that are playable. There's kind of a cool Tetris game for the Virtual Boy, actually, that's really kind of fun. That one's cool. Some people like the Virtual Boy Tennis. I think it's terrible.
Oh, Virtual Boy Tennis is awful. I mean, that's the game that they first time.
I think it came with it.
I think it did. I think it did. The first time I ever played Virtual Boy was like in a Blockbuster.
Yeah,
and that's when they had it. And I was like, oh my god, this is awful.
It's terrible. The only game I can think of, there's a couple of like flying games, like space type games that are playable, that are decent. But the only one that I really liked for Virtual Boy was their Tetris game. Their Tetris game is really fun, and it's cool because there's like two different screens. You can switch back and forth, but then you can just kind of just play the game traditional too, and really just kind of kill it. So it's that is a really though that's about it. I'm not. Virtual Boy was it's Virtual Boy to me is like the long list. It is technically its own system, but I kind of lump it in sometimes with the long list of Nintendo peripherals that seemed cool but failed. You know, your Power Glove, your U-Force, your Super Scope 6.
I could see that too. And like, you know, and the same on the other side with Sega Genesis. I mean, you have like the 32X, and I'm sure there were some other ones. Sega CD was another one too. That I thought was more of a peripheral than
kind of their own system, but not really because they're all plugins to your Genesis. You can't do them without the Genesis. But yeah, you're bit rough on some of those older systems. But they were trying, you know.
Were you ever an Atari guy?
Yeah, I like Atari. Yeah, I do like Atari a lot. I mean, I had an Atari 2600. I did love playing that. The 7800 is a really cool system. I think. There's some really cool games.
Which one's the popular one? They had like Pitfall.
2600.
Is it 2600?
Yeah, that's when people say Atari, they usually mean Atari 2600.
Okay.
Atari 7800 was kind of like supposed to be on par with like Nintendo and Sega Master System. It was still out when those were out, and it's not as good, but it's kind of on. And the graphics aren't even as good, but it's kind of on par with that. You know, they are a little bit more complex games. The 5200 I don't like. They kind of veer from the Atari model, and I'm not a fan.
I remember going back to my old, the old days, my old neighborhood, kids and everything. Because I remember I was the Nintendo guy.
Right on.
I was the Nintendo guy. My best friend then he had the Master System, which was cool.
Yeah.
Like Wonder Boy and everything.
There's some cool Master System
there's games. Some great Master System games. I'm a big Wonder Boy fan. I love the Wonder Boy games. And then this friend of ours who lived actually behind me was an Atari guy.
Okay.
So
yeah, I was a Nintendo guy later. A little older. I actually I had a TurboGrafx 16. I had a Super Nintendo and a Genesis as well, but I was like the only guy around that had a TurboGrafx 16.
Oh, yeah.
So some guys and I didn't have that many games for it. But
this kid in middle school had I remember he had a Neo Geo, which I was like,
you lived in a rich neighborhood.
No, he wasn't. He just had a Neo Geo.
That's awesome. God, those things cost a fortune.
Yeah, but
like $600 or $700 for that system.
I made the jump from Nintendo because my next immediate system after that was a Sega Genesis.
Okay.
So I went from Nintendo to Genesis, then I got a Super Nintendo, and shit, man. I mean, some of my favorite games of all time come from both sides there.
Right.
I mean, I was a big Sonic the Hedgehog guy, big NHL hockey guy, and on the Nintendo side of things, I like the role playing games. One of my favorite games of all time was Chrono Trigger.
Yes.
And yeah,
the basketball games I've never thought are incredible, but
I had one.
The Sega Genesis basketball games of that era, you know, Bulls versus Blazers, and they always, instead of the year, they always called it whoever was in the championship, but it was like the NHL games.
I had NBA Live '94.
Okay.
And it was a cool game.
Mm-hmm. But those Genesis basketball games, pretty awesome.
Yeah, they were
pretty
good.
awesome. They're good. And NBA Jam was cool.
I thought the best company for the sports games, and they really Sega Genesis really took advantage of it was EA Sports. I love the EA Sports.
Oh
games.
yeah, for sure. EA is still great to this day.
To this day.
I play a EA game on my phone, which is what the Star Wars music notification.
Oh, that's an EA game?
Yeah, that is an EA game.
I wish they didn't get rid of their baseball game. They had MVP baseball.
Yeah.
It was an awesome baseball game, and I don't know why. It sucks they lost the rights to it, but then they got. I mean, MLB The Show is also really, really good too, and it was the best alternative. Never was a fan of the 2K games.
No, me either.
That that they came out with. Never a fan. And
in the retro Genesis games, you had Tommy Lasorda baseball, Tony La Russa baseball. Very cool games.
I had what did I have? I had World Series baseball for the Genesis, and I thought it was really, really cool. I also had Deion Sanders football as well. Okay. Which was a fun game also, and Mario Lemieux hockey.
Baseball for the Game Boy, just called baseball. Really good game.
I loved those games. I loved baseball for Nintendo. I loved ice hockey for Nintendo.
Oh, ice hockey for Nintendo is incredible.
I loved golf for Nintendo. Yep. Soccer for Nintendo was, I thought, really, really good. Yeah. What were some of the other ones? Never played the football games. Remember Excite Bike?
Yes.
Excite Bike was really fun.
Oh yeah, classic. These are like the classic Nintendo games.
Yeah, but oh my god, hours at night sitting there playing video games.
But anyway, if you don't like video games, sorry that we bogged you down with this. If you do like video games, maybe check out some of the coverage that we'll have coming at you in the next couple of weeks for this tournament out in Vegas. It should be cool. If you happen to be in the Las Vegas area this coming up weekend, want to come by downtown Las Vegas for a cool tournament, a cool movie premiere, it will be there. You can see us, and you can see what should be a pretty cool movie and what should be a pretty cool tournament, actually. I mean, there's people coming in from all over the world to play in this tournament, so it should really be cool, actually. So it should be a fun weekend, and I hope whatever coverage we have for it later that you enjoy. Does anyone else feel like going around the Empire?
I do.
Because it's time for Around the Empire with Adam, our world-famous news section.
All right. Well...
Universe famous.
There was a far-right... not a far-right, excuse me. But there was a GOP runoff tonight for Jeff Sessions' his seat in the Senate in Alabama. And it looks like... Roy Moore, ex-judge, ended up winning that over Luther Strange, which Luther Strange was the guy actually Trump was stumping for during that Alabama rally last Friday night. That's why he was originally there. But it looks like Roy Moore is going to end up taking his seat, or he won that runoff, so he's going to end up taking Sessions' seat in the Senate. For that. It is really quite weird, too, because it seems like Roy Moore is a guy that probably identifies more with Donald Trump's politics, at least Donald Trump's politics now, as opposed to 5 years ago.
Well, it's kind of, sometimes it's hard with Donald Trump to pick, to differentiate his politics now or his politics 5 years ago or his politics 5 months ago.
Yeah, but...
and not to mention his politics 15 years ago. That's a very different thing.
What else do we have here?
Hey, like I've said before, Adam, and I know you don't really like to hear this, but I don't understand why the Democrats dislike Donald Trump so much. Because the problems I have with Donald Trump, to me, are because he has views that are very progressive. Progressive meaning, the way it is defined politically now. nowadays. I don't mean to say that I have a problem with progress, but I do have a problem with that, with those certain politics, and I don't understand why the Democrats don't like him so much.
More detail. Well, he's given him a shit ton of money over the years too.
He sure has. He sure has.
This is probably one of the reasons why he doesn't want his tax returns.
Yeah, I understand.
Public. Let's see. More details have emerged in Tom Price's taxpayer-funded travel. Politico has been tracking the Health and Human Services Secretary's travel, noting that he's been using government-chartered flights for personal business despite having much cheaper commercial options. How do you feel about that, Josh?
I don't care.
No, don't care.
I really don't. I don't care. I don't care about things like this. I didn't care when Obama used to let his mother-in-law hitch a ride on Air Force One every once in a while to go visit family. I don't care. Stuff costs money. Really, it's to me, to complain about stuff like this is a drop in the bucket compared to the waste that is government.
Mm-hmm.
Do I like it? No, I don't really like it, but really, there is so much waste in government. They blow so much money on so much stuff that, I don't care. I don't care. He's a bigwig. He likes to fly a little fancier. Whatevs.
Looks like women in Saudi Arabia will be able to drive.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Talk about progressive.
Yeah, Saudi women, and I think this was actually announced today.
But weren't they allowed to last year or something? Don't they? Do they still need to get permission from their husband or son?
You know what? I don't know. No, it says breaking from the Associated Press. Saudi Arabia says women will be allowed to drive for the first time.
Okay. So will they will there still be those rules though? They gotta
let me see here if there are those rules. It wouldn't surprise me if they were, but even allowing them, even if there were those rules, but they are going to allow them to get behind a wheel of a car, is a pretty big jump.
Wow, big deal over in Saudi Arabia. I know a woman. I know her very well, actually. I know a woman personally who lived in Saudi Arabia for a while.
And, oh, really?
Yeah, and couldn't
couldn't drive.
Yeah, couldn't drive and couldn't do any of this stuff. And
I just want to live in Saudi Arabia.
Her husband's
interested to know
her husband's
got a bigger deal. A royal decree has been issued in Saudi Arabia giving women the right to drive.
Woo! Ow, ow, ow!
This is a historic day for Saudi society, for men and women, and we can now say at last, you may be...
God. Personally, it would suck for my wife not being able to drive.
Yeah, no, that would... No, it'd be terrible. At the same time, for traffic incidents and stuff, imagine how great it'd be if women couldn't drive. I'm kidding. I'm just, come on. Think of, no women doing their makeup on the way to work in the morning. No. God, what is going to happen with traffic accidents in Saudi Arabia? What is going to happen? Come on, let's be real here.
I knew
traffic incidents are going to go through the roof.
I knew something like this was going to happen.
Come on, what is going to happen? I can't wait to hear the traffic reports of all the fender benders in Saudi Arabia. What are you thinking?
What are you thinking? Like the traffic reporters are going to be like, "What were we thinking?"
Joe, it's funny. Actually, way back in the day, my ex-wife, my first wife, used to talk about how she actually thought it was jokingly, of course, she was talking about how she thought it was,
hold on.
She thought it was a great idea that women couldn't drive.
You know what's funny? Though?
Just be safer.
It's so funny because you're sitting here talking about women can't drive, blah blah blah, and then you're like, yeah, my first wife.
No, everything I'm saying, I'm kidding, of course. God, of course. It's so ridiculous that women couldn't drive there. But it's just, oh, God.
I don't.
But
I
mean,
can't
imagine
find
what's
it.
going to happen with traffic incidents. It's really though. I mean, come on. Let's a year from now we have to revisit Saudi Arabia traffic incident.
Okay, well, let's look at it like this. There's going to be more people on the road, so yes, traffic incidents will probably go up.
Do you think how many? I mean, seriously though, really in Saudi Arabia, how many men are still going to just not let their woman drive?
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean,
it'll probably happen.
It probably will.
Probably happen. But like I said, I mean, it would suck if my wife couldn't drive.
Yeah.
I mean, take the kid to school, pick him up, and
it comes in handy.
Yeah.
to be able to. No, of course. I'm totally kidding, of course, with what I'm saying. But I mean, come on. I mean, some women they kind of suck at driving. I mean, come on. You everybody out there, you know who you are. You're listening, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe Josh is saying that. And in your head, you're agreeing with me. You are agreeing with me.
We're watching this Tosh.0 episode where there's this one semi truck. Just the person cannot back up. Like it's knocking over trees and running into cars, and it's this big semi like at a grocery store. And the truck is starting to pull back out, and the guy who's filming goes and looks in the cab, and the person who's driving, it's a woman. and Tosh is like, "Oh, of course." Josh, we were talking about video games earlier.
Yes, we were.
It looks like Atari has a new console launching next year.
Really?
Yeah. It's what is it called? Do they have a name for it?
Is this a new console with actual...
It's Atari box console. It'll be available via Indiegogo.
Okay, does it actually have new cartridges on it? Or is this another kind of like their like NES Mini type thing? Is this a retro thing or what?
No, it kind of looks... I mean, it looks a little retro-y. Like, it kind of looks like the old... Was it the 2600? Was that the one?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it kind of has the same... like almost like the same shape as the 2600.
Does it have the wood panel?
It does look like it might.
Sweet.
Like a little bit of like a wood paneling on the front. Let's see. Atari's new Atari box console sounds like a Steam machine / Atari 2600 emulator.
Okay, so it is an emulator thing. This isn't going to have new cartridge.
At a risky $250, $300 price. Is this a Raspberry Pi?
Probably, yeah. Probably. You can bet your bottom dollar that Rudy and I will be talking about this on a House Slander and Freddy hour soon enough.
Yeah, probably. Big news out of the NCAA, Josh. NCAA coaches and an Adidas official faced bribery charges. 4 assistant basketball coaches and an Adidas official were among the 10 people arrested by the FBI for allegedly taking bribes to exert influence over athletes and direct them towards certain sports agents and financial advisors.
Really? Wow.
So this is going to be the next big thing going on in college sports. This actually just dropped today too, and yeah, this is a big thing. Apparently, one of the big recruits was allegedly kind of directed towards certain schools based on $100,000 paycheck that he would get. So yeah, this is one of the next big things that college sports is going to have to deal with. Those 4 coaches are Chuck Connors, Pearson of Auburn, Lamont Evans of Oklahoma State, Emmanuel Richardson of University of Arizona, and Tony Bland of USC. So who knows if we're going to have more come out regarding this, but yeah, pretty big situation going on right now. And another team that they're also talking about could be involved in this is Louisville, which would be the second time that Louisville is involved in a big-time NCAA scandal within the past, I believe, like 3 years or something like that. I remember the last one, they were paying prostitutes and everything like that to try to influence kids to come to their program. And a lot of people are saying, too, I know Pat Ford is one of them, saying that Louisville should probably get the death penalty if this is in fact the case, that second major violation. However, my argument against that is, the bar is already set with this. Obviously, with the Penn State thing, which was far more egregious than players taking bribes to go to a certain school. And is this necessarily bigger than what Baylor did when they were basically covering up, sexual assault, multiple sexual assaults amongst their players to protect the program? Baylor didn't get the death penalty. Penn State didn't get the death penalty. And in fact, relatively speaking, they got slaps on the wrist based on these horrible offenses that they were charged with. And yeah, I don't think anything's going to. I mean, are there going to be postseason bans? Probably. Are there going to be loss of scholarships? Probably.
Well, and what's a death penalty now when you they supposedly throw out things and then they change their mind?
Oh, exactly. I mean,
look at Penn State.
Yeah, we saw at Penn State. Time served, or they're being good.
Yeah.
Not with something like that. Mm-hmm. This isn't them.
Now they got a Heisman Trophy candidate and a great football team and everything else.
Exactly. I mean, this isn't an instance, or the Penn State matter. It's not a matter of them of players getting money or getting bribes or having jobs outside of their of the sport that they're playing. It's none of that. I mean, we all know what Penn State did, and they got a slap on the wrist for it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, this is nasty. It's nasty behavior, and and this is there's some big corruption here with Adidas. All day I dream about sinfulness.
Yeah, absolutely. What else do we have here, Josh? Bob Corker, he's going to be retiring, so I don't know if they're going to have another runoff with that one too when Bob Corker retires. Mm-hmm. Or he will not seek re-election, so they're not going to have no runoff or anything like that.
Stick a cork in him, he's done. Zing.
Humanitarian crisis in Puerto Rico is just insane right now. It sounds like
we're all complaining about the NFL, and there's Americans in Puerto Rico right now.
And this is something that is really something like this has really bugged me a lot too. Mm-hmm. And I've never been one to really get on the media a whole lot, mm-hmm. but I don't think that. I mean, we saw what happened with Florida. We saw what happened in Houston. Obviously, those were just awful, awful events that happened.
Right.
But it seems like people tend to gloss over this, whether it's people in the mainland United States, whether it's politicians, or whether it's the media themselves. Just because Puerto Ricans and people living on the U.S. Virgin Islands just aren't in the mainland United States when they are in fact United States citizens.
Right. And this is actually one of the main reasons why I really do want Puerto Rico to be a state, mm-hmm. and I don't understand this state of limbo that they've actually put themselves in. I mean, I won't,
in some sense, yes, that's true.
They could go for the statehood if they wanted to, and then if it was blockaded, then that would be somebody else's fault. But not that any of this is Puerto Rico's fault that there was a natural disaster.
No,
but truth is, people in this country are so uninformed, and there's a whole bunch of people here who don't even really realize that Puerto Ricans are American citizens, and that is U.S. soil. Mm-hmm. It is absolutely U.S. soil. It's our responsibility. It's our problem, and they're Americans, and Puerto Rico should be a state. By the way, it really should.
I totally agree.
This is a state of limbo. This has nothing to do with politics, by the way. It doesn't matter if Puerto Ricans are going to vote the way you like or vote the way you don't like. That has no bearing on it. Mm-hmm. That should have zero bearing on how you feel about Puerto Rico becoming a state. They have received, they've done, they're where they need to be for the constitutional parameters for being a state, and they should do it. I truly, firmly believe, every couple of years Puerto Rico votes whether to stay in their position of limbo, which some people would maybe disagree with my use of the word limbo here. I stand behind it. You know, they for some reason keep deciding to stay in their state of limbo. And to me, that actually makes it a bigger drain on us in a lot of ways.
The United States as a whole.
Yes. And to me, Puerto Rico, listen, you vote every few years, they vote on 3 things. And I'm sick of them picking that one, because they vote whether or not to become a state, stay in their state of limbo, or gain independence.
I don't know if they voted.
And
I don't know.
To me, if I lived in Puerto Rico, I promise you one thing: I'd either want to be a state or be independent.
I don't know if they voted to stay, as in terms of what they currently are.
They have in the past.
They have in the past. I don't think that was the case this time around. I think they voted for statehood. I don't know if they needed a certain turnout though for that to be pushed to Congress for them to
Sure.
do it.
No, it's a constitutional process. It does take a while.
Yeah,
and there's a lot to it, but it can be done. And I mean, basically, there are 3 political parties in Puerto Rico. This has been the case for decades at this point. There are 3 political parties there, and the main thing that these political parties, of course, they have other views, but pretty much those political parties are: one supports the state of limbo. Again, that's not the words they would use, but one supports the state of limbo, one supports becoming a state, and by far the smallest of those 3 parties favors independence. That's about, from what I've heard, about 15% of the population support.
talk about
Puerto
a mistake too.
Oh, it'd be terrible, But I mean, hey, I get wanting to be independent.
Sure, yeah.
I get it. I don't know why you would. I don't see why you wouldn't want to be a state. But it's one of these things. And again, I'm not trying to criticize individual Puerto Ricans who are suffering right now, because it's terrible. But the idea of deciding not to be a state is something that I take big issue with, because, and a lot of people, not just Puerto Ricans, a lot of people in the U.S., a lot of people all over the world, would much rather have security than liberty. They would rather have security than to have to do things on their own, And it would be better for them to be a state, but they just don't want to give up some of the free crap. They just don't want to give up some of the free stuff. Simple as that, And come on, you've been with us for a long time. Population-wise, land mass-wise, you're more than qualified. Be a state. Be a state. Or don't. Or don't. But maybe this will help people maybe kind of turn the tide to realize that these people are American citizens. They deserve our help, our support, and they should be a state at this point. At this point. I think the Virgin Islands actually should be too, but Puerto Rico, for certain, should be a state. I actually think Washington, D.C. should be a state as well. I feel like it's a silly game that we've let play out for too long.
Right now in Puerto Rico, you have 3.5 million Americans without power or water. And last I heard, too, that there are many hospitals within that Commonwealth who are days in terms of running out of diesel fuel for their generators, which means some of the most vulnerable people on that island their life is going to be in danger. So they can't be on the, obviously, we're talking about children, old people who, their lives are in danger if they can't be on these ventilators anymore.
No, for sure.
And it's a sad situation.
But they shouldn't worry too much, because Geraldo is there.
Oh, Geraldo's there?
Yeah, he's going to fix it.
Oh. What are we talking about this then?
No, Geraldo's back. He went back to Puerto Rico to take care of his peeps. And
is that where he's from?
Yeah.
So Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. He's done everything he could to try to ignore that for quite a while now, but yeah, he's back now. And good old Jerry Rivera is going to take care of it all.
Did you call him Jerry Rivera?
That was his name when he first started his original
really?
show.
He
Yeah,
was
he used to
Jerry?
go by Jerry Rivera.
Right.
He changed it to go back to his roots and be Geraldo.
Geraldo.
Yes.
A couple of other things here, Josh. The Senate will not vote on the Graham-Cassidy Obamacare repeal. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell came out and said today that there would not be a vote on it. And this is with Republican Senators John McCain, Rand Paul, and Susan Collins opposing the GOP's latest health care bill.
Ted Cruz does as well, I believe.
I believe he does, yes. So, yeah, it looks like that is dead in the water, and apparently they're not going to address this until tax reform. But it seems like that's something they've said now for the past several months, and they've still tried to come up with an Obamacare repeal that has fallen flat on its face.
I like when Rand Paul and John McCain agree on something, because anytime Rand Paul and John McCain agree on something and are voting the same way, it's almost always because Rand Paul is holding to his ideology and John McCain is butthurt. That is pretty much anytime those two are agreeing on something, that is your reason. And it's like, well, Rand Paul is going off of the ideology that he's carried for all these years, and that he won election on, and John McCain has his feelings hurt.
Can you respect though that John McCain wants to have a bipartisan approach with this?
No.
No? All right.
Not really. I think John McCain is a butthurt old man.
Do you also like
butthurt old man who I voted for, by the way.
Do you also like guys who weren't captured too?
No. I completely disagree with those statements.
What you get? Another ironic thing about Trump and patriotism. I don't think patriots are going to sit there and disparage war heroes. But anyways,
I absolutely, positively respect the service that John McCain, gave to this country. He is a hero. He is a war hero. Not crazy about what he has done as a senator.
Probably has experienced more pain.
Oh my God! I mean,
than most of us will ever endure in our lifetime.
Guy's an absolute hero. He should be. I want John McCain to be remembered as an absolute American hero. I voted for him while he was running for president. I have not been crazy for what John McCain has done as a senator for his entire career, basically. But no, I respect John McCain. I like John McCain in a lot of ways. I never voted for him in a primary. He was always one of my last choices. I did vote for him for president, and I probably would again. And he is kind of the beginning of these people where I voted against him in the primary. I voted for him, and Donald Trump then kind of became the ultimate catalyst of that, where I didn't vote for him in the primary, and he was the first guy that I thought no.
So you'd vote for John McCain over Donald Trump?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. No, I mean, like I said, Donald Trump didn't win the primary. I voted Republican in the primary. Donald Trump won, and I made the decision that I could not vote for him. I voted third party for president for the first time in my life. John McCain, when he won the nomination, I did not care for him. He was not my first choice, not my second choice. He was basically my last choice, but I did still cast the vote for him. I did still cast the vote for him. I don't regret that vote, but I mean, I walked into the voting booth and literally plugged my nose while I was voting for John McCain. He's just not my.
Just not your cup of tea.
No, he is not my cup of tea by any means.
Well, somebody who's a family that's not any of our cups of tea, and this is gonna be the last thing we got for tonight. Kylie Jenner and Khloe Kardashian are both pregnant. Josh,
oh my God, that's adorable.
Aren't you
That's
excited?
Adorable.
Aren't you happy? I mean, Khloe Kardashian is pregnant by Cavs player Tristan Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who Kylie Jenner's pregnant by.
Some rapper. He's
a Tyga? Is that his name?
He's an up-and-coming rapper from what I've heard. From what I've heard. I have no idea.
Which I'm sure he right now, remember that Dave Chappelle skit where he gets Oprah pregnant?
Yes.
I'm sure that's what he's doing.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. At least he's thinking like, well, at least my kid will be a millionaire. Oh God. The Kardashians are just... Oh my God, they suck. God, they suck.
Awful people.
They're just so GD annoying. God, they suck.
Maybe that's something I can get behind with Donald Trump. If he comes out and starts being an asshole towards the Kardashians.
Just ragging on the Kardashians.
Oh man. Maybe if he starts coming out and talking about their ratings. Maybe I might be able to be like,
Oh God.
But yeah, the Kardashians, Josh.
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Make sure you get them a
babies on the way. That means there's more Kardashians for us to still be, for some reason, paying attention to 20 years from now.
Yeah,
as well.
Make sure you find out what the registry is, where they're registered, and get them a present.
They need it. But hey, that has been the XCast, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Anything else you wanna say? Anything else you want to scream about, Adam? No?
Probably after the show I'll think of something, but
that is the way of it. But luckily, if he does think of something he wants to say after the show, we'll be here next week.
That's right.
Right here at our home, theumpiremedia.com, Facebook Live, a myriad of other places where you can find us. Periscope, yes. Many other places. So please tune in here. We'll be back next week for another regularly scheduled program of the XCast, and then we'll be back next month for our next Deep Issues cast, which will be the Dark Web.
Ooh.
Very creepy, very scary. But we had a couple of really good action-packed shows before then, so please tune in next week, same time, same night, theumpiremedia.com. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Bye for now.